Welcome to Sitcom Showdown, a podcast that reviews classic sitcom episodes and inducts them into our very own Hall of Fame. As usual, one of us has chosen a sitcom episode and the other guy has no idea what it's going to be. Will they already know it? Will they love it? Can they be convinced that it's worthy? Let's find out on the Sitcom Showdown. Hello and welcome back to Sitcom Showdown. Thank you for downloading to join us once again when another sitcom episode is going to be selected for the Hall of Fame by Steve.
Yay!
Right.
Well, that's a very weird bit of synchronicity
Oh.
because I've chosen an episode of The Young Ones
Oh, really?
called Bambi.
Oh, fantastic. So it's a Ben Elton fest at the moment.
It is. It's all happening.
Last time, what with Filthy Rich and Cat Flap, or depending on the order of the episodes coming out, next time.
Oh no, we've just spoiled it.
We have just, well, we may not have done. And of course, we've previously done
Thin Blue Line.
Thin Blue Line, thank you.
This is Series 2, Episode 1 of The Young Ones. And to give you a description of The Young Ones, for those who weren't around when it aired or haven't seen it since. Surreal and violent events follow four students who share a disgusting flat or house. Rik, a self-styled people's poet, is an anarchist who is studying sociology. Vivian is a punk who's studying to be a doctor. Seems a bit implausible, but
Yeah.
it's true. Neil is a paranoid and depressed hippie who's on the bottom of the heap. I can't remember what he's studying.
I can't remember what he's studying either.
Don't know. Mike, he's a hard one to pin down. He's possibly the normal one of the bunch. He seems a bit older, maybe more mature,
Oh, yeah.
and he seems to be the leader of the house. And then the fifth young one was Alexi Sale, who pops in pretty much every episode to play a different character. There you go. It was on the BBC in the UK, and this is why I was saying that some people might not have seen it. This was aired from 9th of November 1982 to the 19th of June 1984. So this is almost 35 years ago.
Oh.
This is before the fall of the Soviet Union.
Blimey.
Yeah, so it's quite... makes me feel old. I don't know about you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So famous stars. Well, before we get into the famous stars, this was written by, as we've already said, Ben Elton.
Yep.
Plus Rick Mayall and Lisa Mayer.
Yep.
Yep. The three of them. And then we've got Ade Edmondson and Rick Mayall, who, as we've talked about previously, are in Filthy Rich and Cat Flap together. Bottom and other stuff. Rick passed away in 2014, which was very sad. He was only still young, wasn't he? 57 or something like that? Or...
Yeah, it's a terrible shame. And he'd just been a main-ish character in a sitcom with Greg Davies. The name of which escapes me.
Yep. Nigel Planer's in this one as well. He plays Neil. And I said that Nigel's finest work might be Neil's Heavy Concept album.
Oh, brilliant.
We could probably do an episode on...
Oh, yeah.
You could talk for 30 minutes on that easily.
I could. I recently bought a remastered re-release on disc.
Really?
That came out only a couple of years ago. Probably a 30th anniversary thing. I don't know, maybe they only printed 10 copies, I don't know. And it was a very obscure label. Very obscure foreign label. Anyway.
Oh no, I've put you up on your soapbox and
you have.
We're going to start for half an hour then.
Oh yeah.
Alright. Christopher Ryan plays Mike. Doctor Who fans would have seen Christopher Ryan dressed up as a Sontaran from time to time.
Yes, yes.
Alexi Sale is a stand-up comedian. More about him later. In hindsight, I would say this episode features one of the best casts of guest stars ever.
Yeah.
I'm laying it on the line. Anyway, so let's see who's in it. The guest stars include Robbie Coltrane, Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, Ben Elton, Emma Thompson, Tony Robinson, Griff Rhys-Jones, Mel Smith. So I don't know who managed to put that together, but it was very shrewd casting.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of these people weren't, I guess they were emerging at this time.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, you go, oh my goodness.
There's a lot of awards won.
Yep. So many people on this list go on to be super famous and everything. So the personal background to watching this, a long time ago, we were watching, I don't know what it was, but it was some kind of an awards show, I think. for, must have been British TV or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know how when they do the awards shows, they show little excerpts from the show. Well, the young ones must have been nominated because they showed a clip where Viv doesn't read the warning signs and does the wrong thing and gets his head knocked off. And I just remember watching this snippet from the awards show and thinking, oh my goodness, what is that? So at some point later when it actually came out on Australian TV, we were well and truly primed, I think, to see what this craziness was all about.
I reckon so. It's amazing because we'd never spoken about it until relatively recently, and we both have that same strong memory from our childhood of just seeing that clip on that evening and going, that is amazing.
Yeah, from 1982 or 1983 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh.
Right, well, we're going to watch the episode and then we'll come back and talk about it some more.
Right, I'm looking forward to this.
All right. I'll walk down memory lane.
Good, let's do it.
Once in every lifetime comes a love like this. Oh, I need you, you need me. Oh, my darling, can't you see? Young ones, darling, we're the young ones. The young ones shouldn't be afraid to live, love. There's a song to be sung, 'cause we may not be the young ones very long.
Guys, listen, I've got something amazing to tell you.
Answer the phone, Neil.
What?
Answer the phone.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, floppy disks. Anyway, look, never mind that.
Now, what do you mean, never mind? What do you mean, never mind? That might have been a very important call, Neil. God, you're a complete teacup, aren't you?
Mark, Rick.
What? Oh, sorry, yeah.
Anyway, listen, guys.
No, Neil, you listen. I've been waiting here half an hour. Half a bloody hour, Neil. Being hungry, waiting for my tea and listening to that bogey bum.
Oh, and that's my fault, is it? Oh, yeah, it's always my fault. Why didn't you cook your own tea, Vivian?
Because I do not cook the tea, Neil. You do. That's what we agreed when we first came. You do the cooking, I'll look after the plants and the goldfish.
Yeah. And what did you make me cook on that first day?
Sausages. It was a Tuesday.
Yeah. Sausages and...
Sausages and plants and goldfish. Look, I've discharged my responsibilities, Neil. Now you discharge yours.
And we're back.
Yep.
Let's run through what that episode had in it.
Okay.
Here's a synopsis. 3 of the guys are having a conversation about Mary while the phone's ringing in the background. They're at home in the house, by the way. Neil's running home, meanwhile, to tell them something amazing. He arrives home, only to be sidetracked, though, by complaints that he's too slow to answer the phone. And, where's my dinner? Vivian demands. Neil announces that he's been told that he's smelling.
Seems accurate.
Probably not too far off. Anyway, Mike, in his role as the leader, decides that the housemates need to go to the laundrette, which would be the first time in 3 years, which starts a debate. They're none too happy about this. They're all bummed out about it, which is ended by the escape of one of Vivian's deadly socks.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. The sock is dispatched with a frying pan.
Yeah.
And they literally jump to the laundrette, where the washing machines revolt, but Vivian outwits them using a cunning blend of psychology and violence.
Yep.
Which has to do with Felicity Kendall's underwear.
Hey.
It's classic. They get the washing in eventually, but then they realise they've got no money and they have to go home.
Oh.
Which puts them on a bit of a downer. But then Neil remembers what it was he had to tell them.
Oh, yeah.
What the amazing thing was. They're supposed to be appearing that afternoon on University Challenge.
Oh.
Woo. Representing Scumbag College against the Footlights in Oxford. Cue the second act, and we're led into that by the Ace of Spades by Motorhead as the boys race to the train.
Oh, yeah.
It's
action.
Something that happens in pretty much every Young Ones episode, isn't it? Some kind of a musical number. A band turns up at their place or something like that to go through a song.
Yeah.
So the guys get on board the train, back at the train station, Vivian claims to have done his homework already using the Daily Mirror Book of Facts.
Did you know?
Seems like a reliable source of information, doesn't it?
Yep.
Questions such as the world's record for stuffing marshmallows up one single nostril, 604, and the world's stickiest bogey, both of which were Toxteth O'Grady, USA.
Yeah.
Rick is freaking out because he hasn't done any study or any revision for this. And Neil asks him about crop rotation in the 14th century. And Rick just, loses his mind.
He does.
Meanwhile, Vivian's now wandering around the train and he spots this sign which says, "Don't lean out the window." He says, "Oh, I wonder why." Sticks his head out and gets promptly knocked off.
Oh.
He's decapitated. There's blood spurting everywhere. But he does manage to pull the communication cord which stops the train in event of emergency. His body is walking down the train line and his head calls out, "You took your time, you bastard." I think it says. Alexi Sale is the train driver and he's been held up by Mexican bandits. It's a bit odd seeing that the train was stopped, presumably by Vivian. But anyway, Mexican bandits are there. Cue jokes about biscuits named after revolutionaries. Next, we see Lord Monty, Lord Snot, Kendall Mintcake, and Miss Money Sterling in the roles. And they're the team from Footlights who are on their way to University Challenge. And they're singing, "Rah, rah, rah, we're going to smash the oiks." The guys eventually arrive 2 weeks late at the TV studio. And they have to get in past the security guard to see Bambi, who's the host of University Challenge, played by Griff.
Hey!
And they managed to get in because Mike knows Bambi, and we all thought he was just talking out of his hat, but turns out it was true.
That's amazing.
Who knew?
Oh.
Well, the first part of the quiz goes badly with Bambi favouring the rich kids, but the tides turned after Vivian throws a hand grenade into Footlights College. And Bambi starts reading rigged questions, which have come straight out of the
Daily Mirror Book of Facts.
The Daily Mirror Book of Facts. Yeah. So it's going well, but then the show's ended when a giant eclair falls onto the guys, ending the quiz. And that's been dropped by Dr. Carlisle, who has been observing the events of the episode as a culture under a microscope.
Ooh, on a slide.
Pretty bizarre ending.
It is. Yeah. But, they weaved it in there. So that I'd just forgotten about that whole business with the Elephant Man and the eclair. And then they bring it all back.
So...
Obviously, because they don't have a punchline or a way to get out of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It's a bit like the Married with Children episode where it just ends in a slightly bizarre fashion. It's kind of a similar thing. But they did have the Doctor and the Elephant earlier in the episode, so it does hark back to that. Anyway, why do I think it's worthy of entry into the Hall of Fame? Jeff, chip in whenever you want through here.
Right, I'm going to chip in by saying it's self-evident, but anyway, let's
How is it self-evident?
Well, all you have to do is play it to someone, and then you can just put the feet up. Yeah, you don't need to make an argument. But
seeing as we're here.
We're here. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Here we go.
Well, The Young Ones is just a no-holds-barred, crazy show. It's completely out there. They just seem to have been given carte blanche to do whatever they wanted, and the budget seems to have allowed them to, and the way it was put together, seems to have allowed them to have done that. And I think in this episode, 99% of all the gags stick.
Oh, yeah.
I think The Young Ones, I think it marks the start of the modern era of sitcom.
I reckon that's right.
Being early 80s. I've been watching another sitcom called Only When I Laugh, which was coming out at the same time as this in the early 80s. And that's a good sitcom, but it's old-fashioned, inverted commas.
Yeah.
It's somewhat realistic. It's got a fairly structured script where something happens to create all this action and that plays itself out through the rest of the episode and resolves itself.
Yeah.
Uses fairly limited sets, and it's almost like a play in some ways.
Ah.
Which, then you come to The Young Ones and it's almost completely unstructured, almost chaotic. In this one, you've got the first 14 minutes of the episode, which deals with there's a lot of dialogue. Let's just call it the laundry section of the episode.
Yeah.
So that goes for 14 minutes, and then essentially they completely ditch that
and go off
that whole little storyline, if you can call it that. Then they go off to deal with the quiz show. So which is pretty bizarre in terms of the way you'd normally have a sitcom structured.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, it's cartoonish. We've got cartoonish violence throughout it. We've got these resets in the... Well, almost resets in reality, isn't it? Because things happen like Vivian gets his head knocked off.
Yep.
And then 2 minutes later, everything's returned to normal and we just carry on with the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And they do that numerous times.
When they appear as each other's characters.
Yep. They come down the stairs and boop.
Yeah.
And then they just jump up and go straight to the laundry. You got inanimate objects talking.
I always love that.
Surreal, yeah. And looks and asides to the camera. And the music in the middle of the episode.
Oh, yeah. And them appearing in shot while the music's happening, motorhead are there in the lounge room. And then they run out of the lounge room to the station.
Well, it's essentially like a music video.
Yeah.
With shots of the characters mixed in with it, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
It was all very strange at the time. But some of those elements have continued on, and we talked about Filthy Rich and Cat Flap in the last episode, and you definitely saw some of those things in that episode we talked about, with obviously violence and the looks and asides to camera. So some of these elements continued on in other sitcoms.
Oh, yeah.
And have continued on to the present day. Also, they seem to have... we were talking just a bit earlier about sitcoms where they've got very limited sets and it's done on the cheap. But the young ones seem to have, I don't know if it's they had a good budget or they just managed to do an amazing amount of stuff on a small budget.
Right.
But they didn't seem to, obviously thought up some crazy stuff to do, but they managed to capture all of that on film.
And figure out how it's going to happen.
They figured out how to do it, which is just amazing. And,
so do you think in this particular example, though, they could use... I mean, do you think when they went off to University Challenge, that was actually in the BBC building? And so they didn't have to go out and recce a location and film it there. They just popped down the hallway and they could sort of save a bit budget-wise there, possibly.
Could be.
And use the existing University Challenge set and things like that. I'm not sure.
But the amount of sets and props and filming on location in this, that first 14 minutes we were talking about, didn't have much other than them in the living room, except you got Neil running down the street, tripping over the garbage can.
Oh, that's true. So they're outdoors there. Yep. Then they're indoors.
Then they zip off to the laundromat. So you've got an external shot there. Then they're in the laundromat, which is presumably a set. And then we're back at the house. But then they go to the train station.
Yep.
So there's all location work there.
I'm counting on my fingers here, and we're up to 6. Yep.
Then they're in the train carriage, and there's a couple of different bits to that. There's the passenger bit. There's the bit where Viv pulls the cord.
Yeah.
Then you get him on the tracks.
Yep.
Then we go to the foyer of the TV studio, and then also you go inside you've got Bambi in front of camera, and then you've got the guys
on the tiered contestants thing. Yeah, I'm up to 12 here.
Yep. And then we finished there, but then you've also got the weird skitty kind of bit in between with
the elephant,
Jumbo the elephant, and the doctor. So I don't know how many different things that is, but it's just considering most sitcoms would have two or three sets, maybe 2 standing sets and one built one per episode. It's just amazing what they cram into it.
It really is.
It's
I mean, hiring an elephant from somewhere. How do you do that?
So as I was saying, it's just full of energy.
It really is.
This show. I mean, they managed to last, similar to Filthy Rich and Cat Flap last time, this is 34 minutes long.
Oh, yes.
But it just, the exception of the bit where you got the scene with the elephant, which is almost like a pause for breath in the middle of it all. It's just intense.
That's all very true.
Yeah, so it's almost a third longer than many of the episodes we cover. Standard 22-minute episode. But it's top quality all the way through.
I totally agree. It is top quality all the way through.
The dialogue in that first 14 minutes or so is just really good. We've got the argument about the chores. We've got the argument about, the laundry. Rick's attempted suicide. Which goes horribly wrong. The some of the visual gags, we've got Neil putting the cutlery out and then and the plate's on the table. Then he upends the bin onto it and calls it leftovers.
Leftovers.
And Vivian picks up the rat, which is or he's basically nonchalantly digging through this pile of garbage that's been upended on the table.
Yeah.
And finds a dead rat and starts eating that.
And not just that, he's really keen. Oh, a dead rat. Great.
Yeah. And then he's got the tail and he's like, oh. He's loving it. The bit where they kill the sock with a frying pan.
Oh, that's on my list as well.
Yeah, a brilliant visual gag with we've got smoke coming off it or something like that.
Yeah, funky, steam, whiffy, decaying sock.
So all the visual gags there. And the last thing is the characters are so well drawn and the way they combine with each other. You've got Vivian, who's incredibly violent and clever, which is summed up in that quote where he says it calls for a very special blend of psychology and extreme violence.
Yeah.
And but then he's really clever, but then you get Mike telling him
how to tell time. Oh.
Classic.
Which allows you to do a lot with the character. If they're that inconsistent, you can do a lot with that.
Then to go with an extremely violent character, you've got Neil, the peace-loving hippie.
Yeah.
Who does things like let Viv hammer nails into his head when he's sick. Ricky's just so deluded.
And that's all the really well-observed stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes to Rick. And that's comes out with more of Vivian's intelligence, where he says, well, you're the classic example of an only child.
Yeah. He's an anarchist who lives in a house that's basically anarchy.
Yeah, and he doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it, I guess, because he's on the bottom of the totem pole. Or pretty close to the bottom of the totem pole anyway.
Oh, completely. I mean, as much as they give Neil heaps, Neil's very, very necessary in the hierarchy, whereas Rick's completely...
Well, someone's got to do all the work.
Yeah, very true. What does Rick offer? Bugger all. So they don't mind if he goes, which they make very clear in this episode.
Yeah, that's right. Oh. Who likes me? Yeah,
and the effort they go to point their hands as far towards the floor as possible.
Yeah, that's right. And Mike, he's kind of the...
Mastermind?
He's the mastermind. He's the most normal of them, perhaps.
If Mike's the most normal, that's saying something, isn't it?
There's something not quite right about him.
Yeah, he's very Arthur Daly and a bit shady.
A bit shonky.
Yeah, totally.
Shonky, is that an Australian...
Oh, that's a very good question. If a British listener can tell us if they use the word shonky over there, then let us know.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got much to add to that, other than to say that the guest stars were great.
Oh, and plenty of them.
Amazing list of guest stars.
Crikey.
And that left me wondering, when you see Ben Elton with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie and...
Emma.
Well, I was just wondering, without the young ones, which gave Ben Elton his start, and put him together with these people, would we have had Filthy Rich and Cat Flap and Blackadder Beyond Season 1 and these sorts of things?
I don't have an answer for any of these questions, but they are good questions.
And what about you? What have you got?
Oh, well, I think it's pretty standard view that The Young Ones is an all-time classic sitcom that's right up there.
Yep.
Then the tricky bit becomes picking an episode, and I think you've selected really well here because it's got so many of the memorable bits. As mentioned, Viv sticking his head out the window and losing that's quite amazing, and everyone remembers that. But then there's so much more as well. And so some of my favourite parts is, the talking sock and that whole thing. That was great. And then, the Ace of Spades with Motorhead in there. I didn't mind that because there was some good action going on with it. Whereas sometimes with the other musical bits in The Young Ones, I tended to switch off a bit. And the laundrette scene with Felicity Kendall's underwear, with Viv's psychology against the washing machine. Mm-hmm. And when SPG was in there cheering for Scumbag College and headbutting the teddy bear.
Oh, scumbag.
Just adding those little things makes it so brilliant.
Yeah.
And of course my favourite bit, bacon sandwich. That's just, completely unnecessary to the plot, but it's a brilliant gag. So, the pig ferret bacon sandwich. Ah.
Here, hang on. What's that?
It's my mascot.
A pig? No. It is?
It's not, it's a ferret. It's a severely deformed ferret, I'll grant you that. So severely deformed, in fact, that it looks a little bit like a pig.
Looks exactly like a pig.
Yes! Well, it certainly has been remarked upon. In fact, just as John Hurt is known as the Elephant Man,
bacon sandwich here. It's known as the pig ferret.
Bacon sandwich? Funny name for a ferret, isn't it?
Aha! And that's where I had you fooled, because it's not a ferret, it's a pig.
Well done, Viv. You certainly got him there.
Yeah, have you had enough, Nazi? Or do you want some more?
Those little moments that they add in that they really didn't need to, but I'm very glad they did.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
I'm still confused about how Bambi turned into a game show host.
Yes. Oh. Best not to think about that. But yeah, it's great.
So much fun.
So it's a brilliant example.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Glad you think so. So it's going into the Hall of Fame?
Oh, definitely.
How could it not?
There's no doubt. Yeah.
Well, that was good running through that.
Oh, good.
And, are we officially imposing a Ben Elton embargo?
Well, that's a very
For-
good
for a little
suggestion. Yeah, I think so. So let's quickly list the Ben Eltons we've done and the Ben Eltons yet to do. So obviously we've done... It was very funny when on the same recording session I picked Filthy Rich and Cat Flap and you picked Young Ones. And then previous to that we've done Thin Blue Line. So which means that at some point in the future, possibly Blackadder will show up.
Mm-hmm. I think that's definite.
Seems quite likely, yes. And of course, a sitcom that both of us like very much, Upstart Crow.
Yep.
Which we're still waiting for the second series of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can't do any more Ben Elton for... How long would you impose on it? At least another 20 episodes?
20?
10 episodes?
10.
Okay.
Let's call it 10.
Right.
No Ben for 10.
No Ben for 10. That works really well, because if you've got a slogan for something, you're more likely to stick to it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye! Join us next time on Sitcom Showdown when we'll be putting another 5-star episode under the microscope. And in the meantime, you can contact us with feedback on Facebook, Twitter @Sitcom Showdown, or by email sitcomshowdown@gmail.com.